There is a particular moment in human history when we chose to mistake our own destruction for joy, and we gathered together to do it. Nobody woke up in 1799 thinking, "Today I will harm myself in front of an audience." It never feels that way. It always starts as curiosity. A scientist, Humphrey Davy, found something colorless, odorless, and harmless in a laboratory. He inhaled it. Something shifted in his mind. The world became lighter. His thoughts became strange and beautiful. He called it laughing gas, and that name would become a prophecy. Within years, the demonstrations began, not in hospitals, in theaters, in drawing rooms, in the parlors of the wealthy, where men and women in formal dress would line up one by one to inhale from a silk bag held by someone who barely understood what they were doing. The curiosity had transformed into something else, something we should recognize. The effect was instantaneous. A person would breathe in, and within seconds, their face would contort into an expression no sober mind could produce. Their body would convulse. They would laugh, truly laugh, with a desperation that seemed almost religious in its intensity. And the audience would watch. They would sit in perfect silence, observing another human being lose themselves completely. Some found it amusing, others found it beautiful, most found it impossible to look away. The problem was never the gas itself. The problem was what came after. As the demonstrations continued, the effects grew unpredictable. Some users experienced profound euphoria, others suffered seizures. A few never quite came back. Their minds would linger in that other place, and when they returned, something essential seemed to have remained behind. But the demonstrations continued. More gas, more audiences, more people willing to surrender their control for moments of artificial transcendence. And here is where the story becomes unbearable to consider. Nobody stopped. Not the scientists, not the doctors, not the audiences who watched their friends and strangers collapse into hysteria, who heard accounts of permanent damage, who saw the correlation between the parties and the breakdowns. They continued because the pleasure was real, even if it was wearing a mask. This was not ignorance. This was not lack of knowledge. The harm was visible. The danger was documented. But the feeling of being lifted out of oneself, of experiencing something that made ordinary life feel suddenly unbearable, that feeling was stronger than caution. That feeling was stronger than conscience. We look at history and see primitive people making primitive mistakes. But what we are actually witnessing is something more permanent about our nature. We will gather together and harm ourselves if it feels like transcendence. We will trust what makes us feel alive, even when it is quietly killing us. We will call it entertainment. We will call it science. We will call it freedom. And we will keep coming back, because the alternative, feeling ordinary again, being confined to our own minds, accepting the slow dullness of normal existence, that is unbearable. The laughing gas parties faded eventually. The gas was banned in social contexts. Regulations were written. The moment passed into history as a curiosity, a peculiar excess of the past that we have learned to recognize and avoid. But consider this. What if the human need that those parties fulfilled did not disappear? What would we be doing right now in this exact moment if we could not feel the difference?